Hello and welcome to Channel 8 News on Bay TV. I'm Carwyn Evans. Today's main headlines. Toll payments on the Severn Bridge to come to an end. The Shadow Minister for Equality responds to the BBC pay list. Carmarthenshire Choir preparing to compete in a Eurovision-style competition. And in sport, Roland Phillips looks ahead to the Women's Rugby World Cup in Ireland. Back to our top story. The UK government have announced that tolls on the Severn Bridge between Wales and England will be scrapped by the end of 2018. Welsh Secretary Alan Cairn said the decision would be a major boost to the local economy. The fees paid on entry to Wales range from £6.70 for cars up to £20 a vehicle, and have long been a source of contention with motorists and businesses. Those using the bridge daily could save about £1,400 a year, and it is estimated that about 25 million journeys are made across the two bridges annually. Carwyn Jones has made his feelings clear about this announcement, with the First Minister saying that it was nothing more than a desperate attempt to distract from yesterday's U-turn on electrification trains to Swansea. Earlier, Liz and Gaynor were joined by Neath MP Christina Rees and Swansea East MP Carolyn Harris, who had this to say about the announcement.
I think that's a positive to it, but the problem I have now, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Carolyn, is that yet again he didn't make this announcement in Parliament. He made this announcement in a business leaders meeting in Newport. In Newport.
Why does that matter?
That matters because we can't hold them to account. He did it again yesterday with the Great Western Rail, the non-electrification.
That's what's being said, isn't it? That this announcement is a deflection from the fact that we're not going to have...
In reality...
It's aversion therapy.
Yeah,
because we're not going to have electrification coming from Cardiff to Swansea.
The tolls, I will put entirely down to the work of our colleagues, Jess Morden and Paul Flynn, who have worked tirelessly for this for many, many years. This is justification for all the time that we've stood up to support colleagues. This is meant to be a sweetener for the blow that we had yesterday, which was not bringing electrification to Swansea.
If you look at parliamentary procedure, ministers are supposed to bring this decision to the House so we can debate it, so we can hold them to account, so we can scrutinise. That hasn't happened. And yesterday's protocol, I mean, I'm the Shadow Secretary, but I wasn't allowed to speak in it because it should be the Shadow Transport Minister. So I work closely with Andy MacDonald, who is our Shadow Transport Minister, to work up a point of order. And managed to get it in right at the last minute. But up until then, our colleagues who could speak spoke in the business questions where you're allowed to ask anything. Because the problem is you have to hang it on a hook there. And the hook that the only hook we had left was business questions. Carolyn raised it. All she kept saying over and over again was it's modern technology. Now, I know that these trains, these bimodal trains, they were actually invented in 1990 in South America.
They bought them 3 years ago.
And then in 2009, they actually came to Britain. So it's not modern technology.
Staying with politics, earlier this week it was reported what wages the highest paid presenters at the BBC were, with Radio 2 presenter Chris Evans earning the most with over £2.2 million last year. And after she appeared today on Bay, we caught up with the Shadow Minister for Women and Equalities, who had this to say about the pay gap between men and women.
It's not a bad step forward. I think that means that I know what it means to be treated equal in society, and I've been down there with the working class, which I am, and now I'm a voice for the working class, which I'm very proud to be.
You're in a House of Commons, which for the first time is getting very close to reflecting society.
It is. Did you see PMQs and what we call the bar in PMQs, which is right by the door? It's always dominated by men, and this Wednesday, if you look back, you'll see it was dominated by women, and that was done to prove a point, that we are there and we're going to be heard.
One area of life where women don't seem to be getting such a good deal is at the BBC, where we've seen some wages figures released this week, and women don't seem to be doing too well.
How archaic is that they're not treating women equally? I mean, I've always been fortunate that I've always worked in professions, even as a barmaid, where people got paid equally because they were the kinds of occupation where we were equally valued. You'd think that the BBC in the 21st century would understand that concept. And if I was a female working at the BBC, I think I'd be withdrawing my labour at this point.
And what do you think the BBC should do next?
Equalise pay. most definitely they should equalise pay. They should never be in this position where they're leaving themselves open to criticism. They are a very established organisation. If they didn't understand the moral stance that they should be taking, well, unfortunately, they now deserve to be exposed for the big mistake that they've made on this.
And do you think Chris Evans on the Radio 2 morning programme should get £2.2 million a year?
No. Nobody should be paid that kind of money. I mean, Chris Evans loves his job. I love my job. But I mean, there's a reasonable amount of money that anybody can be realistically paid. We have a lot of poverty and deprivation in this country. To me, it's obscene for anybody to be earning that kind of money.
South Wales Police have confirmed that the company boss who took £1.3 million from a homeless charity to fund his lifestyle has been jailed for 5 years. Robert Mark Davies, who worked for Sirenians Cymru here in Swansea, admitted fraud by abuse of position. The charge relates to a 6-year period between June of 2008 and November of 2014 when he forged invoices. And finally, a Carmarthenshire choir will be travelling to Riga in Latvia this weekend to represent Wales at Eurovision Choir of the Year. Cor Merched Sir Gar will represent Wales at the first edition of the competition. And the choir, they beat off competition from 4 other choirs across Wales to reach this stage. They are one of 8 choirs in the final and will perform up to 6 minutes of music. That's all your news for today. Let's have a look at what's happening in the sporting world. And we'll start tonight with rugby. Roland Phillips has announced his squad for the upcoming Women's World Cup. Ospreys hooker Carys Phillips will captain the side, whilst Ellen Evans, Sioned Harris, Shona Powell-Hughes, Eleanor Snowsill and Rachel Taylor will take part in the 3rd World Cup. 17-year-old Scarlets flanker Lleucu George is the youngest member in the squad. And after the announcement, we caught up with head coach Roland Phillips, who spoke about the squad and about his side's preparations.
Yeah, very, very much. You know, it was quite a long process, but we had to do it right. And you know, you make difficult decisions along the way. But I, really sort of credit to the girls. The selections were difficult because so many girls put their hands up and showed that desire that they wanted to be part of it. And I respect them for that. But it was tough, but we got there. We're all excited now. Yes, yeah, we played Japan. This feels like a while ago now, but we played Japan about a month ago, and that was we took a bit of a heavy defeat, but we had players there who hadn't started for Wales before. We had players who'd never played senior rugby before, let alone international rugby before. So some real good youngsters coming through. I'm really happy with that. And I think now we reflect back and realise how important that game was and valuable it was to us. Then we played Spain and we had a little bit more of a recognised kind of squad, which went really well. And England this week was a massive boost for the girls. A couple of things we really focused on and we came through, and that puts us another step up. We have to step it up again out of New Zealand.
Staying with some rugby news, Ospreys flanker Will Jones has said that he hopes to use his international experience to make the step up from the development pathway to senior rugby. The 18-year-old skippered Wales under-20 side throughout the Six Nations and the World Cup in Georgia. Despite Wales' poor campaign, his leadership skills have not gone unnoticed. From rugby to football. In the early hours of Sunday morning, the Swans will kick off their 3rd and final match in the US when they take on North Carolina FC. After drawing their first game, the Swans won their 2nd match and will be hoping to finish their tour on a high. One of those on the score sheet was Tammy Abraham, who told the club's website that he is already settled with his new club and that he feels a part of the Swansea City family. After getting half an hour under his belt against Richmond Kickers, he's looking forward to getting more time on the pitch. And some darts news before we finish. On Sunday, Gerwyn Price will get his World Matchplay campaign underway when he faces 16-time champion of the world Phil Taylor at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Only 3 years after quitting rugby to join the Professional Darts Corporation, Price has risen up the rankings with his best run at the matchplay, coming back in 2015 when he made it through to the quarter-final. Before we leave you, let's have a look at what the weather has in store for us this weekend. After a miserable and wet day today, the rain should clear eastwards this evening. Then overnight and into the early hours of Saturday, it will be drier with some clear spells, although the odd shower is still likely, especially towards the west. And the temperature at its lowest will be around 11 Celsius. Then looking ahead to Saturday, more rain is expected across South Wales, with the showers often being heavy with some risk of hail and thunder, and temperatures will reach highs of 18 Celsius. Unfortunately, it doesn't look any better for Sunday, I'm afraid, with heavy thundery showers expected once again. It does, however, look like a better start to next week, with Monday and Tuesday producing dry and bright spells with even a bit of sunshine possible. Well, that's all from your Channel 8 News team for this week. Don't forget, if you've missed any of our shows, they can all be found on our YouTube page. Until Monday, thanks for watching and have a good weekend. Goodbye.